recording? Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to RPC Standard Call 15. Today's date being October 27th, 2025. Currently we have 3 things on our agenda, and whatever we want to discuss that is not yet on the agenda. The first thing will be handling of the error handling for block not found, which was raised by Mark, which I'm not sure he's here, but do we have any input on that? I shared a link to the issue on our chat. So I'm not sure if we have anything, if we have any contribution in respect to this, but Mark is not here to show more light on this, so I'm not.
Okay, sorry. So I think it might help if we discuss it in a bit more detail. So this is about specific tests, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So specifically, it's about the get block receipts. Yeah. So seems that can we go about what is the specific question? So in the pull request just changes BSU to return null instead of returning an error. So I guess the question is if that is a valid behavior, or should we change something, or?
I think it looks to me like from the pull request that the problem is that fixing this like get block receipts Hive tests break the simulate v1.
I'm not sure about the details about it, but from the pull request, it mentioned that there is an inconsistency in error handling behavior, like the expectation. So what is the output is not what is expected. The entire details is what I'm not sure about because I've not like looked into it myself. But if anyone has an idea or can help us understand this much more better or a better way to go about this, then the floor is there.
Yeah. So the way I see it is that basically they are changing it to fix the tests, but somehow yeah, I mean, I don't really see why they are not. So it breaks the test ETH simulate v1 empty with block num set +1 or something like that, because ETH simulate v1 seems to have the different handling. So I don't really understand them. It just means they have to implement it different for the ETH simulate. I mean, here he's saying that they have this abstract class that is used by several RPCs. So yeah, if they change it in this abstract class, it will affect, but this just sounds like a BSU problem to me. Like, yeah, I mean, they have to fix it, but it's not. I mean, ultimately, the defined behavior in the spec is that if the block is requested, but the block is not found, then it's supposed to return null. And the not found is not an error condition. That's just how we always have defined it in the specification. So, and it's how the other methods handle it as well.
And just for clarity, does that mean that, okay, there's an expectation that a block should be found and it's not found and then it throws an error? Or is it just like, yeah.
I mean, there is a difference between the block not existing and there being an error accessing the database, for example. So if there's an error while trying to load the block from the database, then that is an error. But just the basic idea behind returning null was always that when you're trying to access, for example, a block number that's higher than the current one, shouldn't necessarily be an error, because you just cannot know if this block is like existing or not. And I mean, it will exist in the future. So it's a bit of a different kind of error from, that was always the whole idea behind this, basically, that you when we can tell you're trying to do something impossible, we will tell you with an error. But if we can't, then we shouldn't define it as an error per se. So it's more like that. Or if we know it doesn't exist, then it's also not an error, right? Like, that's the other thing. For example, there's a bit of a thing, like we have the same behavior, for example, when you're trying to access a transaction by its hash. So if the transaction doesn't exist, we return null. But yeah, it's just, that's just how we always had it in this API.
Okay, so according to what he said it returns basically returns an error, but it's, so but the test is expecting a success response with null result.
Yes, exactly. So when it's not found, then it's supposed to return null as the result. Yes. So we can check it actually in Hive. So I see they are failing quite a few tests. But for example, let me try to see. So they have this get block receipts not found. Yeah, so they return error code minus 32,000 for this case. And I guess it's, do they have it in another case? I'm checking the test for BISO right now to see which ones. No. No, it's only this one. I mean, it's basically as he was writing in the PR description, it will fix 3 Hive tests or something, but not more of them. Yeah, just like get block receipts empty, future, or not found. Yeah, I'm less sure about this empty test, what this is even about. See it maybe. So okay. So in this get block receipts empty test, it accesses get block receipts with the hash value that is all zeros. So the whole idea is that basically it's using an invalid block hash that we know doesn't exist. Yeah. Notably, they do return null already for example, get block by number or get block by hash. And they also
So,
already return null for the get transaction by hash when it's not found.
sorry, I'm not quite sure if I understand this. So are we saying that it's Besu problem or the specs and the Hive test are inconsistent in terms of handling errors and what is expected?
So I think this is a BISO problem, because that's what I think, because the BISO itself is also a bit inconsistent. The spec is pretty clear and all the other clients adhere to it in this case. So it's just that BISO doesn't. And in fixing this, they seem to be creating some issue with the eSimulate, but this also I would regard as like a BISO issue, that they basically fixing it on their side seems to have some effect on the eSimulate v1, but then I guess they just have to fix that one as well. I have no idea what he wanted to discuss about it. I think maybe he wanted to bring up like changing simulate v1 to have the similar behavior or something like that. I don't know.
So it looks like to me that the simulate, like if you look at eSimulate empty with block num set +1, it's a future block and it's throwing an error, a block not found error. Like, should that return null or should that throw an error? Are you putting that into like the impossible bucket? Like, this is impossible because it's in the future?
I mean, you could
Or
say
so
yes.
it should.
I mean, this is weird. I mean, this is the same question would, for example, apply for the ETH call, right? And I think we're missing a test there. So we would have to create a test that runs ETH call with a future block, and we have to decide about the behavior of this. The whole idea with returning null is that it's supposed to return null when the item which you are seeking is not found. So it's like when you do get block by number with a future number, then and the block doesn't exist in the node, it should return null. But if you're trying to execute an ETH call on a block that doesn't exist, probably that should be an error. Do you understand the distinction between these two cases, or is it weird, or I don't know?
So to recap from the outside, it's saying you're saying like, okay, if it's a normal, like everything is well formed, and you don't find this block, and you like, even if it's in the future, then that should return null. But if for some reason it's like, I don't know, a malformed block number, it should return an error.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But also it's like it's a bit like the return null is a bit like the error 404 in HTTP. It's like if you'd only give the error 404 in HTTP if the exact resource which is being requested doesn't exist. But if there's a problem, like if there is an internal problem accessing the resource, like a problem in the server or something, then it's not going to return 404. It's going to return something else, like some other error. So in some ways, this return null thing is a bit like returning the 404 in HTTP. So yeah, I mean, in the future, we could define an error code that is specifically about like this condition that it's not found. The thing you were looking for is not found. But right now, we don't have this defined error code at all. So we have been using this return null convention since the beginning of the API. So I feel like, I mean, yeah, we can change it in the future maybe.
Don't we have
now,
something? Don't have something that for like when people have for blocks generally, like we don't found. Right? We never found. I'm not sure because not that.
I'm sorry, Łukasz, I have some trouble
Sorry,
understanding you.
is it just me or I can't hear him?
I couldn't understand him either.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we just wait for him to join or fix his mic. Felix, sorry, you were saying something before you got caught up.
No, not really. It's okay. I just try to explain again, like this difference between the. I think this could be one action item for this. Basically, we need to create a test that tries ETH call with some future block or something. I think that's possible. We don't have that now. I think. Let me see. No.
Can you hear me
we
now,
don't.
guys?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. My point was, I think we have something like something similar to resource not found, which we use for example. So there is an error code that could be used here, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not at the computer at the moment, so not entirely sure.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really, at the moment, there are no really defined error codes. I mean, we will be discussing the error code proposal later. We have some other error codes, but we don't have a general error code for not found. It doesn't exist so far. Yeah, it would have to be added. And then we would have to define it. And change all the servers and change the spec and change the tests. And so we don't have that now. Basically right now, for most methods which can return a result, we have this convention that their result is either null or it is an object or something like that. I mean, I don't find it pretty either with the null, I have to say. Like, I wrote the Go RPC client for the API, and it's kind of annoying. You have to pay attention to this null thing all the time. But I guess it is what it is now. So, yeah.
Okay,
I
so
have,
I don't know how. Sorry, go on.
I have actually two different topics, Felix, that I wanted to ask you. One is the reverted error code. We changed it to 3 recently, right? But I think the ETH simulate tests weren't updated, and they still are using the old reverted code, error code.
Yes. We can discuss it, yeah. But this update is in progress. Yes, they will be updated, but we have to, if we all agree on this call that this change should be made to ETH simulate, we can definitely make this change. We have a pull request for it, Go Ethereum. We can regenerate the test with a different error. It's all there, but we have to agree it today.
Well, we merged the spec, right? So I think the reverted error code should be consistent between different calls.
Yes, that's true. However, I'm not sure if we really did change it in also the simulate.
Well, you didn't, definitely.
Yeah. At the moment, I don't see that. So we did not change the spec for ETH simulate to have this error code defined. It is something we can do. I mean, yeah, we can change it to the error code 3 as well. I have no problem with that. I really just wanted to say that we have to we have to agree at first. I mean, I agree with it. Yeah, let's go. But
Right now, it's a mess. Then, if we didn't.
Yeah, it's inconsistent. I agree with that too. Yeah. It is inconsistent right now. Yes, definitely. It's because this proposal with error code 3 and the proposal for eSimulate happened in the same time. So yeah, it's kind of, and on a long time scale. But how about this? Maybe we should follow the agenda first, and then, because at the end of the agenda is not very long, so we can just, after the agenda, maybe bring this up again. Yeah.
Okay, that would be great. Kira, I think you're next on the agenda about execution API versioning.
Yeah, so this actually sort of segues into what I've been thinking about a lot, which is that we should version execution APIs so that clients aren't trying to hit like a moving target. And so, I mean, I think in an ideal world, we'd get all the like ETH simulate V1 tests passing before we like tag execution APIs. But I think in lieu of that, I think we can kind of like tag it. I'm prefer Semver or semantic versioning. And so I think we can tag execution APIs either in like a beta right now, or just tag it with something and have Hive run those tests. And then if we're doing like bug fixes or like things like the ETH simulate error codes, I think those can kind of fall into like bug fixes, and then we can have Hive pick those up. But then next time we make like a big breaking change, like ETH simulate, for example, adding that, we can kind of do it all at once and warn people and tell them that like, you know, something's going to break. But wanted to get a feel for like what people's thoughts were on that, or if that was a bad idea.
I'm a fan of it. I like the idea of having Simver, and then I would say probably just maybe put a versioning.md just so people know the rules around what is like a version bump and what's not, like what's each of the patch for patch minor and major, what those will mean.
Cool. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's actually a good idea, and also it will help us with error code so that clients can easily adapt to it in terms of adaptation. So
Cool. I'll try and get that implemented before next meeting.
okay, but do we have any plans on it already on how we're going to go about it? More like an MD file to this, or
I mean, I think we just need to do it. So I think the steps are a file, tag it as it is, and we can kind of address, things that come in, issues and PRs that come in, and decide if they're bug fixes or features or breaking changes, and then have a change log and tag it, and then have Hive pick it up. I have a local PR to have Hive pick up a certain tag, so I think it'll be pretty quick.
okay, thank you. That would be great. So next on the agenda would be the 3 PRs. I think this has to do with you, Carrie, because you have the merchant rights subscription API. If you could help us look at the PR, and if there's review or anything else that needs to be done, then that will be fine. Or further discussions also on it.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me just see. Either of us can share the screen. Let me see where we got that. So 1 sec. Yeah. Okay. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So I thought we would try this because we have this thing with the pull request triage in Go Ethereum as well, and it's been pretty useful. So I thought maybe in the future, if we would tag some of the pull requests here and then just look at them. I tagged these more as an example because I feel we should discuss them. And they seem to be, unlike the other ones, for example, the fossil spec is a huge thing. We're not going to review that today. And it's like related to some future protocol feature. But for example, this one is very small. So it's something we can easily discuss on this call, I feel, because we just have to make a quick decision about it. And this pull request is about adding in the spec an option that has existed for a while, which is that in get logs, there are now 2 options. So in the spec currently, it only allows specifying a block range and a filter. So the block range is defined by from block and to block, and then you have the optional addresses and the topics. And the topics, they are sort of like the address and the topics, they define a kind of filter that has to be matched by the logs. So this PR is about adding another option, which is the block hash. So when this is specified, instead of specifying a range of 2 numbers, you can query the logs of a specific block, which is identified by the hash. It is a useful thing for some clients to be able to access just the logs of a specific block, and also to be able to filter them. Yeah. I initially thought we would have to agree on this, but actually turns out that this EIP was proposed in 2017 and it is final. So I guess this is official and we could just merge the PR. However, this is not supported by Nethermind at the moment. So yeah.
Yeah, sure, we can add support. It's not a big deal. One question, is there any, what's the behavior when the block is non-canonical because we don't have logs? It's probably undefined, right? There's no definition of error code.
Yeah, I mean, there's no this. I mean, this is now the interesting question. Like where we are back now to this question of should it return null or not. I think in this particular case, maybe not, because basically the intention for you is not to access the block. It is to access the logs. And if you specify, and also you're specifying the block by the hash. So it's kind of like the intention here is to say you want to filter logs contained in a specific block. So if that block isn't there, then the operation you wanted to do is impossible. So it maybe should have an error.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Another thing, there is 4 right? So we need to specify that for errors also.
Yes,
apply
that's true.
this.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So yes, exactly. When this needs to, okay, this is a good point, but I think maybe we can do it in this PR or not. For me, it was
If we
just more
won't do it
important
in
to-
this PR, we will forget about it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's definitely one way to see it. Let's see. I don't know exactly.
At least I will
how
forget
we-
about it, and then I don't care that much about JSON RPC to keep that in my mind longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know. What's your GitHub name, by the way?
Lukasz Rozmej.
Yeah.
Like my normal name without Polish characters.
Yeah. One sec, guys. I need to pick up the phone. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm back. So that's a good point. Can we still? I mean, I can take care of the error codes. Do you? If you guys agree, we can just merge this. I mean, this is I checked it and it appears to be implemented in most clients. Just
sure.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I clicked on my own name. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we will merge this and then that's that. Yeah, it's a bit weird that this has this like one-off definition, but I guess that's just how it is with OpenRPC. There's not really a better way to do this. So yeah, I guess we have the, I mean, it's gonna look okay, I guess, in the website. You have these two options, filter by range or filter by block hash. And then, yeah, I guess that's it. Cool. So that was PR number 1. Now the next one is maybe a bit more complicated. So we
And Felix, you're gonna check that error implementation, or you want me to put up an issue?
I mean, I can do it right after the call, basically. Yeah,
Okay.
I thought.
Cool. Thank you.
So the next one is for the ETH config. So technically, I think ETH config is final, right?
Yeah, I think so.
No, it's last call. Okay. So, and the last call ends tomorrow. Okay. I didn't know that. But yeah, I mean, I don't expect that anything will be changed anymore in ETH config. It seems that this is also adding test cases. The thing about the test cases is we will have to redo them. So it's always the problem that when test cases get submitted like this, we have to later kind of turn them into, like, because we use the generator to create the test, we kind of have to backport them into the generator after this. But I think, I mean, this is a very well specified thing, and I'm sure that since everyone is working now on the Fusaka fork, and this was included in the Fusaka fork and decided by all core devs, this is for sure implemented by everyone, and would be good to have the test for it. So I don't think we're going to change anything about this PR, right? I mean, this is just, it's just a matter of merging it, I guess. So yeah, I mean, if you guys have any kind of last minute reservations about it, we can still change.
No, I think this is a good one to get in.
Yeah, cool.
Mhm.
So, and then I guess with the tests also we need to see, I think there must be something there. Yeah, in the RPC test gen, I mean, we can check if there is a matching PR. Nope. So we need to.
Sorry, just one question. I saw the .io file from on this. So if there is no test for it, so how come the .io files are generated?
What do you
Sorry,
mean?
I'm lost. On the RPC, yeah, here there's a .io file.
Hmm?
Yeah, so how come the test we have a .io file but we don't have a test?
I mean, this is maybe something where also like because I recently reviewed your PR Mercy on the RPC test gen. So RPC test gen just RPC test gen is not the test; it's just the test generator. So the IO files are the tests, and they are created by this tool, but they don't have to be necessarily. I mean, I guess what's his name again? I forgot. Dano just created these tests somehow using his own tools, I guess using Bisu or whatever, he created them. And then now it's kind of on us to make sure that as we keep regenerating the tests, they will always be up to date. So this is like the thing, the IO files, the IO files are tests which are which correspond to the current test chain also. Like that's the thing, like inside of the test folder, we have the test chain. And this test chain, you can see it here. There's this like chain.rlp and then like the genesis and so on. So these files, they define like the blocks which exist in the test and so on. And the ETH the ETH config tests here, they somehow correspond to this test chain, but we have to backport these tests into the generator. So basically, we have to update the generator to actually call ETH config and basically recreate these tests so that when we update the test chain the next time, these will not go out of date or something, because then maybe the block hashes will change or something about the config will change, or like anything like the fork ID, or like all of these things will change over time. And in order to make sure that the test will remain up to date, we have to kind of make sure that these tests are created by the generator as well. But the pull request authors in execution APIs, they don't always know this. And I mean, I don't think they can always be expected to update the generator with their tests. So usually what I would say is that we just kind of add the tests that they created or something, and then we just have to backport it. Like that's how it's just how I would say it's the easiest.
No, okay. So I was thinking we do RPC test first before putting it to the execution repo. I was thinking it just has like a unified format, like a step.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we could totally do that. Yeah. So basically here we would have to say, okay, so that's what you mean, yeah? That it has to be created first. So I guess
Yeah.
in that case, I mean, someone, maybe you can actually do this. I mean, you have updated the RPC test chain before. So basically what needs to happen is it has to be changed so that the RPC test chain calls ETH config 2 times, once with no parameters and once with, wait, also no parameters? Yeah, that doesn't work. No, that's weird. So that's not, these tests will not work because it calls the same method 2 times and it has a different result. That's not how, I don't know. Does it even take parameters? Does it even take parameters? Yeah, I guess it doesn't. Yeah. Okay. There are no parameters. Okay, interesting. So in that case, it means basically we can only keep one of these tests. Yeah. So we will only have a single test for ETH config, which is the one that returns the current.
Sidebar question here. Are both tests important in terms of like syntactic correctness for returning results, depending on the state of the chain?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, this is kind of the problem with ETH config in general, that it's kind of is one of the aspects of ETH config that I personally don't like. It's that the result is dependent on the current block in the client. So if the, I mean, it's like if you schedule a fork in the client, then and the client knows there will be an upcoming fork, it returns something else in ETH config compared to when the fork is over and there is no currently defined fork. I think it's a pretty weird distinction. We cannot actually test it using our current setup because there's no way for us to. I mean, I guess we could make a custom Hive test that launches the client with a fork scheduled in the future, but that setup doesn't exist for the RPC compatibility tests. We would have to basically, it would be like a specialized test.
So, just out of another sidebar, not to extend dev work, but it seems like maybe there's needs to be an additional parameter that specifies chain state or some way of specifying the chain state required for making each of the RPC requests.
What do you mean?
Because you call ETH config, right? But there's an expectation of different responses per chain state. So it seems like the tests need to specify what the chain state is, or what's chain state to like load for then like validating that the response is correct.
I mean, yes, but we have that. So we have a single test chain which is defined. And so that chain, we just use it for all the tests. So basically the expectation is that before any of the tests can run, the client has to load the defined test chain, and then it's going to be in that state. And I guess we could add a second set of tests that run against a different chain or something like that. But yeah, that's not
I
really.
guess I'm trying to see like how do you solve the get config with next fork and get current config issue. And then it seems like there's like a couple of ways you could do it. So one is like you could play forward the sequence of like RPC calls to then put the chain in the state, the test chain in the state that then allows you to validate it.
Yeah, but we
Or
can't really
something.
do that because I mean, we could like start talking to the client over the engine API to advance the chain somewhere else, but it's not really, I mean, the way the test chain works right now is that so you can see it kind of in the Genesis.
Right. It's just a static state.
I mean, it has to load the chain, but then also the chain is kind of set so that when the client is has finished importing all the blocks in chain.rlp, it will have passed this prog fork. So the prog fork here is I think is kind of the latest fork. So it will just go past all the forks basically. so we can't really schedule a future fork in the tests because the tests are supposed to, like, when the test at the end of the test chain, all the forks are passed. all the ones that exist, I mean.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, we could kind of stop import, like we could make another test chain that like stops before the proc fork or something, but then that's like really weird. We only need it for one test, which is the ETH config. So this kind of like ETH config is kind of hard to test in that way. It's even hard to test like in general because most of the time there's no next fork. The only time when ETH config returns even something for the next fork is, well, when the clients were just updated to support the fork. I mean, I guess this is this could be interesting. We might just discuss this today in Discord since the last call of ETH config is not yet passed. So we could just technically bring it up and be like, hey guys, why don't you just change ETH config to remove this next fork thing? I don't know. Seems a bit wild, but I guess it's not too late formally. Anyways, yeah, Lucas, you were saying you need to go. So could we just finalize? I mean, this PR, I think I would say we can kind of merge it because it implements the EIP. At the same time, the EIP is in last call, it's not final, so maybe it's too early. And also we need to make a generator. So maybe Mercy, you can just add this call to the generator, that would be great. And then we can update this PR with the generated test, and there will only be one test for now. Do you think that's a good resolution? Okay, super cool. So let's go like that, and then we can have some progress. So basically then it will be all good in terms of the process, and I can ping Dano to figure out what to do about this next fork thing. Okay. And so now let's maybe quickly go and see the final one. So the final thing that was tagged for triage is this JSON RPC error code standardization. This is kind of a big thing. So I don't know how far we're going to get. Definitely some things were changed after the last call where we discussed this.
Yeah, I can quickly update it, just like in 2 minutes. In short, I adjust most of the comments, change the ranges to positive for the newly implemented ones, and most importantly for execution errors, at least for the execution reverted, it now reflects 3. And rest of the transaction pool and ZK execution error is a new category I added, and gas errors, I've reduced the number of gas errors to only reflect the errors that we actually get, at least with get and Besu. I cross-checked it with the test. I also created new test suite. This is currently in my profile. I'll slowly start working on moving it to Hive or RPC test gen, but that has the updated report. So if you click on the last point in the ETH error test, in the description, it's in the description at the bottom. Oh no, it's all the way top in the PR description.
I shared it in the chat.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, that one.
Oh, the tests. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I created my own suite. It's based on the existing test I did long back, and I updated to include all scenarios. So the reports now will have. I only did for Sepolia, Get, and Besu. But it's easy to append for the rest of the clients to add it. It's sort of like a very similar to Hive, how it spins up local clients and runs scenarios, but just as my own structure. But I'll start working on expanding this for the rest of the clients. But if you click on the reports and pick up any one of the reports CSV, it's in the folder, reports folder. Yeah, you could click on get if you want. Yeah, CSV. Yeah.
Okay,
nice, cool. You can see the raw transaction, and those are the errors I added in the gas errors. And this will reflect the error code, and I've simulated this by deploying actual contract and simulating this exactly how it would respond. But for some scenarios, it's not too perfect. I cannot replicate errors such as nonce to high. but that can be addressed. And there are a few hacks here to get it all printed out, but pretty much should work still for most of the clients. And I've done this again for Besu too. So I can expand this test to cover more scenarios. But if you click on the test cases folder under the package and send transaction scenarios at the end, I haven't done the estimate gas. It's currently only on send transaction scenarios. So if you click on the send transaction scenarios file.
1 second.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. Yeah. What should I click on? Sorry.
No worries. No, all good. Send transaction scenarios. Yeah, that's the one. So this has all the tests that I did. Basically, you know, updating some of the params to simulate different kinds of errors. But this is up to date. I need to implement the same for ETH gas and ETH call, but ETH send transaction should have all the latest values. I need to fix the code a bit, but
And it seems kind of interesting to me. I mean, we should there's a lot of overlap in this with both RPC test gen and with the Hive. So
right,
I feel
correct.
like you should just kind of convert this to run in the Hive, and then we would.
I agree, completely agree.
that would be kind of
The
useful.
only reason I didn't do that now is because I wanted to get this done quickly, and I had the setup ready in my local. So just sort of expanded on it. But it would take a little bit for me to move this to Hive and RPC test, but it's all simulating really actual native errors.
Yeah. I mean, this is very good. I have a general feeling that might actually be useful now that I think about it, to maybe just also run RPC test gen inside of Hive. So this is something that we could do, because at the moment it's like in RPC test gen we run Geth to generate the test cases, because it's easiest for us to just like compile and run it in the same setup. But that doesn't mean that it would actually be kind of interesting to fill the same test from another client just to see the results. It doesn't necessarily mean we have to commit them or something. It's just more like at the moment it's literally not possible to do the filling. Like, I mean, yeah, it is with some manual stuff, but I guess so. There is some overlap with that too.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is like a single package where you can add new client and run all the tests in one go. But definitely the end goal is to move this to Hive and RPC test gen once I have like nailed it down. The only reason I didn't do it is again.
But this code could basically be used as is to generate the test cases, right? Like that's the main thing.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I kept most of the stuff very similar, so it'll be easy to import later. But yeah, this is what I have so far.
I mean, the question is also like, I mean, this is more like this project is more about doing like some research in terms of like what the clients actually do right now. But obviously it's not like what they are doing right now is not necessarily what we want to put in the spec, right? We want to
correct, exactly.
More for like, you know, having an overview of like where the clients are at. And I guess now Łukasz left, but like he was from Nethermind, so I guess it would have been quite interesting to hear it from him, because like, I mean, Nethermind isn't here, but obviously they also have some error.
Yeah, I can add the Nethermind quickly. It wouldn't take too long. Just probably under a day. I can add Nethermind quickly. Yeah, but this is just to showcase where the clients are, and even if you want to run after fixes, this would reflect the current state and the future state.
Yeah, it's good to have
it's
that.
pretty much
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So can we maybe go back to what we're gonna do about the PR? I mean, for now, I guess now
I think it should be really ready at this point. If you all take a look into the actual numbers and see if it matches and sounds good, I think we should be in a position to merge this. There may be like one final comment I have to do, some cleanup, just some description and README, but other than that, the PR and tests should be in a good condition.
I have the general comment. I think that these two groups are not required to specify because JSON RPC allows the server to return these errors anyways. I mean, it's just going to be like if there's a server error, then yeah, it's going to return this error. Do you think it's required to put this in for every single method to define that, you know, the standard errors can be returned? I don't know. It's a bit redundant.
It would be useful in the future test. If it doesn't match, it should at least warn us. Let's say someone is using completely outside the JSON standard errors or the errors we've defined. We should at least see them a warn message or at least error it out. So, and of course, it's like a single place to look up all the errors that currently is supported, and that's the only reason. Probably I can do this even more slightly generic. I can take a look at that, but yeah, it'll be useful for the test in the future.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, implementation, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, this is definitely improved compared to last time. Let me put it like that. So I mean, yeah, it has some good things, but there's some not so. I mean, mostly, yeah, it has the ZK errors now. These are new, and then some of them have to be reduced. I still think we should maybe, for example, one of the things that's a bit weird still is this message and data situation here. Like that, I mean, I know last time we talked about it, but like the message here this is very confusing, I have to say, because this says message already known, but this is more like a, I don't understand like what's the distinction between these two fields. Like there's a message and then there's also the other message, more like readable.
Right. So yeah, I can also revert that back. I didn't I didn't keep it to cause confusion. The more goal was for me to push people to start using the data field more often. That could be a string, that could be an object, and also this also gives us a way to standardize the message field a little bit more. If clients want to say out of counters or transaction not permitted, some kind of error that's not defined or well known, just like nonce too low. Because nonce too low, everyone knows it's pretty standard and everyone has similar string. For the rest of them, we can also kind of use this kind of underscore messages to standardize messages in the future, but absolutely not needed now. So we are only focusing on code. If it's causing more confusion, I think we can revert this and move the description into the message field and leave the data out of the standardization. But so that is just to point what can be used for this error code. That's it.
Yeah.
I would be on board with the like maybe moving the stuff that's in data into message, because from the OpenRPC side, it's kind of like maybe an early days misstep where, yeah, like Shane said in the comments, that it should be like the data field should really specify a schema. So like imagine that you're out of gas, we could define schemas that clients should return to be sort of compliant with that. So it could be like, oh, gas field plus number, that kind of thing. So the more that we can push into the message, then whenever OpenRPC does the version bump to support like the data schema, that could be like, it's going to be a seamless transition then.
So here I'm showing
that sounds good.
I'm showing this on the screen right now, but basically we have, for the existing code 3, we have the data which is defined to be the schema. So it's like a byte. This is kind of the intention of using the data field. So for this error of code 3, we don't expect the client to return this exact message. That's kind of the point of error codes, that they don't have to agree on the message 100%. So we will never check that, or we will check the code, and we do have to check the data as well, that like they return the correct thing in the data, and the tests will verify that also. So we can't make I know
Right.
that, for example, Reth currently returns some other, like they have it a bit like you have it in your proposal, where they have like some error message in the message, and then they have another error message in the data, but that's not really how it's supposed to be used. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I can move the data field into message. Just want to make sure that people don't cross use the messages or cross use the error code for different kind of errors. But absolutely, that makes sense. I can move the data into the message field and leave the data out of the proposal for
Yeah,
now.
I would say, because
And like,
we will define like additional error data when it's necessary. Just we haven't really had that happen so far. Like for
yeah,
now, it hasn't really been the case that we need the error data or something like that.
that makes sense.
We only
Like
have it for code
Zane
3
mentioned.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Zane mentioned, when they have implemented the schemas for data, we can start using it. For now, I can move it. Yeah, I think that makes sense. That should
Okay.
be a quick change too. I can do this before tomorrow and send it out in the channel. But if you have anything else, also happy to do it, so we can get this merged really quick.
Yeah, I mean that, and then I guess we're kind of good. We have to review again, like all of the defined error codes, if they really make sense. But for now, I think it's moving towards the good state, I would say, like with this. Like definitely
Cool.
we're on it now. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Sorry, I just wanted to add, if in case you make the changes, we can then move it over to the ACDT call so that all other clients can actually like look more into that, and if they have any specifics, then that would be great. But let's say we are bypassing the safe zone, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, Mercy, for sure. I'll try to get this done quick, so maybe before next week we can take it to ACD call.
Thank you.
So I guess that's the last thing on the agenda. So any last comments? Oh, okay. So before we close, I just wanted to say, I wanted to make out some changes on the documentation, on the website itself. But when I'll make up a PR and then I will send the PR link so we can further discuss, because we already we're over time now. That's all from my end. It was nice having you all and having these discussions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye.